In the beginning of the drama, we see our drama female lead, Gia. She is crossing the road when suddenly she sees the earth start spinning, but then she wakes up and we realize that it was a dream. She thinks whenever I dream of you, I become happy. It has to happen someday. We see that Gia is a lawyer. She gets ready and goes to the courthouse. From the news, we learn that a famous tennis player accused of blackmail and assault has been released on bail. People are demanding punishment for the player. Meanwhile, Gia is the player's lawyer and is defending him. Because of this, people begin to criticize her. Why did you save him? You just wanted money. They were making more comments and questioning her. Gia says the truth will come out and the victim will definitely get justice. A man in the crowd yells, "Justice is dead," and throws an egg at her. Gia blocks it with her bag and says, "I understand you are all angry, but I request everyone not to spread false rumors. Please. Have faith in the law." However, Gia often takes on cases that other prosecutors avoid, defending those who are widely criticized. On the other hand, we see Gia's boss, Chang, who is watching her on TV and praising her. Nearby employees talk about Gia. They say she is very talented and wins every case she takes. She has no family or friends and works all the time, just like a robot. Just then, Gia arrives and everyone congratulates her. However, Gia immediately starts talking about work. She speaks to an assistant and tells her to prepare for the next case. Gia's colleague tells her, "Everyone planned a celebration for you, and you didn't even say thank you." Gia says thank you to everyone and tells them she is busy so she can't join them. The boss asks Gia to stay with them for a while, but Gia replies, "My working hours are over, so you can't stop me." She then leaves. While driving home, she listens to the radio, where it's announced that Song, our drama's main male lead and a member of the idol group Gold Boys, has released his solo song today. Then Gia listens to Song's solo song. After that, Gia reaches home and likes every post of Song's and leaves positive comments. We see that Gia is a huge fan of Song. Just then, Gia's friend Min-soo arrives. He tells her, "Let's have a drink," but she refuses. But when he shows her her favorite drink, she gives in after that. Both drink, and even while drinking, Gia is busy with checking Song's post. Later, she starts looking at many photos of Song that she had bought before. Min-soo asks, "Why do you like him so much?" "He's just like us," Gia says. "He is different from everyone." Min-soo takes one of the photos and says, "I look just like him." Gia takes the photo back and says, "You're not even close." In the next scene, we see Song arriving for a concert. He is walking when suddenly a fangirl grabs his jacket and he falls down. Song doesn't get angry and goes inside. But later, Song gets angry at his manager and says, "Didn't I tell you I need tight security?" However, once he goes inside, he gets another shock. He finds out he has to do the concert alone. Song gets angry at his staff and says, "Why am I the only one working hard? I'm leaving." But his manager stops him. He asks everyone else to leave the room, then kneels in front of Song. "Please, it's all my fault." He apologizes. He explains how much money was spent on the merchandise and how much profit is at stake. "Please, do it this one last time. You don't know how much your fans want you. They're waiting outside just to see you. Please, say yes." Song reluctantly agrees. After that, we see Song performing on stage. On the other hand, Gia is in court and tries to leave quickly, but she gets late. Gia exits the court and bumps into a prosecutor, spilling coffee on his foot. His name is Kim. Gia goes to the washroom without apologizing. Kim waits outside the washroom so he can get an apology from her. A lawyer comes to Kim and asks, "What are you doing near the restroom?" Kim tells him what happened, how a girl bumped into him. "The coffee fell on my shoe and she didn't even say sorry." While they were talking, Gia changes her outfit and leaves. Later, Kim finds out no one is in the washroom. Meanwhile, Gia had already called Min-soo, who comes outside with a bike, and they both leave. On the other hand, the manager tells Song he has a fan meeting today and asks him not to do anything. Then Song gets a call from an unknown number. A stalker asks Song why he changed his number. She couldn't talk to him. Song immediately hangs up. He starts getting many messages from fans. Seeing this, Song gets nervous and throws the phone away. Then, at the fan meeting, Song is giving autographs to his fans. His eyes fall on a girl standing far away who is looking at him, and this girl's name is Lynn. Then a fan comes to get his autograph. Song asks, "What is your name?" The fan says, "How do you not remember my name? Why do you keep changing your number?" Song realizes she is a stalker. The girl misbehaves with Song and is thrown out. Song starts having a panic attack. In the next scene, Song is in the washroom having a panic attack. He tries to take medicine, but the medicine falls down. Meanwhile, Min-soo brings Gia to Song's fan meeting. Gia sees the fan meeting is over. She gets sad and sits nearby. Min-soo also comes there and sits next to her. Min-soo asks Gia why she came to meet Song in such clothes. Gia says she doesn't want people to recognize her. People think badly of her. If they find out she is Song's fan, they will start saying bad things about Song too. Min-soo tells Gia even if Song sees her, he won't recognize her. Gia says, "I don't care. Even watching him from afar is enough." Meanwhile, Song is at his home. He is looking looking at Lynn Y's photo on his phone, and we find out she is his ex-girlfriend. Song realizes a stalker is in his house. Song asks them to come out. After they come out, security throws the stalkers out. The next morning, Song is sleeping, but then Yang, who is his boss, pours water on him. Song wakes up. Yang shows Song a video where Song is seen scolding the stalkers and throwing them out of the house. Yang tells Song, "Do you know how much money I have invested to stop this video from spreading?" Song says they were not fans, they were stalkers. They are criminals, and I am the victim. Yang says he knows everything, but by reacting like this, you have caused harm to yourself. The manager tells Song he has dropped from number 1 to number 10. Song asks Yang when he will be able to live a normal life. Yang tells him if things continue like this, he might start living a normal life very soon. Meanwhile, Gia tries to book tickets for Song's concert, but all tickets are sold out. But Gia finds an online black market ticket seller. Gia buys the ticket from him. Meanwhile, Song meets a doctor, and the doctor tells him he has a fear of losing his success, which is why he gets panic attacks. He should start his treatment or he will forget everything. Song tells the doctor he is busy and asks for medicine. Next, we see Gia goes with Min-soo to the concert venue to collect the ticket. A guy in a hoodie comes to give the ticket. As soon as he takes the money and starts counting, Min-soo starts making his video, and Gia catches the guy for selling illegal tickets. The guy gets scared and starts to run away. They both chase him. On the other hand, Song arrives at the concert through the back route. Suddenly, some fangirls see him, so they start shouting and coming towards him. The manager makes Song escape through another route. Meanwhile, Gia doesn't find the guy, so she sends Min-soo to look elsewhere. Song is hiding from the fans. Gia sees Song in a hoodie and mistakes him for the ticket seller and pulls off his hoodie. Gia is shocked to see him. Seeing fans approaching, Song puts his hand over Gia's mouth and hides. Gia keeps looking at him. After that, the manager takes Song away from there. After he leaves, Gia is very happy because she saw Song face to face. Meanwhile, Song comes to the waiting room and the other members of Gold Boys are there. Jin tells Song, "We were waiting for you, and you didn't even care." Song tells him, "Because of me, you are getting a chance to perform. Otherwise, no one cares about you." Jin gets angry and tells him, "People don't love you. They pity you. How your mom used to work in a bar." As soon as he says this, Song gets very angry and a fight breaks out between the two, and when Jin tries to break them up, he gets injured. Then he is taken to the hospital. Meanwhile, Gia sees an online post where a fan says Song fought with his band member. The members came to support him and Song misbehaved with them. Gia comments and says, "Stop spreading rumors." In the next scene, we see Song at his home, singing a song. Just then, the doorbell rings, and Song's teammate Lynn arrives with the drink. Lynn sends the housekeeper away and starts drinking with Song. Song tells him, "Forgive me. Because of me, he got hurt." Lynn tells Song he knows Song came to the hospital to meet Chin, but didn't go inside. After that, they both drink. The next morning, Song wakes up and comes outside to find Lynn lying on the ground. Song sees that Lynn is no longer alive. Song starts crying. Just then, the housekeeper and manager arrive and see him. In the next scene, Gia is preparing to go to court, but then she sees the news and finds out that Song killed the Gold Boys member Lynn. Gia, as a lawyer, reaches the police station and goes to meet Song. She thinks, "I always thought someday a miracle would happen and we would meet. I never thought I would meet you as a suspect and a lawyer." Gia tries to talk to Song. Song keeps repeating the same thing. It can't be true. Lynn can't be dead. But Gia says, "It's true. The police have already confirmed everything. He is dead. I want to take your statement so we can find out what happened that night. Is there anyone you suspect?" Song talks about the fan incident, how they got into his house without him knowing. He tells Gia it must have been done by those fans who entered his home. "They even knew the passcode to my house." He stands up and starts cursing them. Seeing Song think about his fans like this breaks Gia's heart. She says nothing and quietly steps outside. When she comes outside, a prosecutor named Han sees her and says, "What are you doing here? He is my client, and you must leave this case. Do you understand?" She nods and starts to leave, but he stops her. "How could you give up so easily? Did he confess to killing Lynn?" She says nothing and walks out. Outside, reporters meet Gia and question her about Song. Gia slips and falls. The story goes into a flashback to school time where she was being bullied by a boy who poured water on her. As she walks out, children whisper about how her father killed someone. Gia narrates, "I had lost all hope of living. I was about to go and end my life." She goes near the water. Just then, a boy arrives with a guitar and starts singing. When she listens to the song, she remembers her father, who also used to play the guitar. She starts crying. The boy later comes to her, puts his cap on Gia's head. This boy is Song. Song gives Gia his MP3 player and says, "Whenever I'm sad, I listen to this." Gia thinks, "I don't know why, but your music gave me courage, and I decided to live." After that, Gia studies law. One day, she finds out about a group called Gold Boys Boys. Song is in it too, and they are about to perform for the first time. Gia goes to see their live performance. Meanwhile, Song is nervous about performing on stage. To motivate him, Gia cheers, "You can do it." This gives Gold Boys courage, and they perform. After that, Gia becomes Song's fan and supports him. In the present, Gia thinks, "Because of you, I saw that. Because of you, I am alive. I think you're going through a difficult time right now, so you spoke like that, but you are not that kind of person." In the next scene, we see Song at the police station with his lawyer, Han. A police officer tries to trick Song into giving a statement, and Song starts to get caught. Han sides with the policeman. Song yells, "What kind of lawyer are you? You should help your client. That's what you get paid for, right?" In the next scene, we see Gia quickly arriving at Han's office. She says, "Why did you do that? Why did you back off? Now he'll be arrested soon." Han says, "You knew the opposing lawyer is Kim, didn't you? He comes from a chaebol family and wants to enter politics. That's why I backed off from this case. Otherwise, he could have blacklisted me." Hearing this, Gia is shocked. Then Gia goes to meet Song. Gia asks him, "Look into my eyes and answer only with yes or no. Did you murder Lynn?" Song says, "If I say no, will you believe me?" Gia asks again, "Yes or no?" And Song says no. Gia thinks that usually every criminal says this, but this time, I believe he is not lying because he doesn't know how to act. She tells Song, "I am ready to take your case, but you have to agree to one condition of mine." In the next scene, Song talks to his manager and says, "This lawyer has gone crazy. She can't be my lawyer. Get someone else." But the manager says, "No one is willing to take your case, and now I can't to help you either. Yang has terminated your contract. Why did you kill Lynn?" Hearing this, Song becomes sad. Meanwhile, Gia is at home watching news about Song when she gets a call. She is told that Song is ready to work with her and she can be his representative. Hearing this, Gia becomes very happy. Next, she goes to meet Min-soo and tells him, "I need your help," and Min-soo says, "You've started fangirling again." Gia says, "I'm doing all this, not as a fan, but as a lawyer. I can't see an innocent person being punished." She adds, "Some fans went to his house and caused a scene. Find them. I will also need CCTV footage. I don't want to miss anything." In the next scene, Gia goes to the crime scene and recalls several scenes, thinking about what might have happened. Just then, Kim arrives. He tells her, "There's nothing here. 2 people were inside the house. One killed the other, so wrap it up." Gia notices a mole on his neck and recalls that when she was bullied at school by a boy, he also had a mole on his neck. It's the same person, Kim. Gia recognizes him, but he doesn't recognize her. Gia says, "I know what to do. We'll meet in court." Saying this, she leaves from there. On the other hand, Min-soo finds the 2 fans who had previously entered Song's house. Gia asks them, "Why did you 2 go to Song's house? Did you 2 commit the murder?" They say, "We are Song's fans, and we just went to meet him." Gia asks them, "How did you 2 get the password to his house?" They explain, "We sneaked into the building hiding from the CCTV and went upstairs. We knew there was no CCTV there. We waited for Song to come, and when he arrived, we saw him type the password. That's how we found out, and we entered the house. But we didn't do anything wrong. We just love him." Gia tells them, "This is not love. You didn't love him. If you loved him, you would never do such a thing." In the next scene, Song is taken to court. People demand punishment for Song. Song says, "I don't remember anything. What if I really killed Lynn?" Gia tells Song, "Say what I tell you to say, that I did not kill Lynn. I will not admit to this." So Song says the same. During the hearing, Gia tells the judge about Song's fans entering his house. There is no evidence against Song, and the judge grants him bail, but the investigation will continue until evidence is found. Gia tells Song, "You can go home now. Is there anyone I can call whom you trust?" But he refuses. In the next scene, he's in the car with Gia. Min-soo is also there. On the way, Song asks Gia to stop the car and gets out. Gia also follows him. Song sees that someone has written "murderer" on his poster. Song becomes sad seeing this. Gia drops Song off at his home and leaves. Song goes inside, but he is overwhelmed by the memories of his last moments with Lynn. He runs back out of the house and sits on the side of the road, the memories flooding back even stronger. He begins to have a panic attack, and eventually, he passes out. When he opens his eyes, he finds himself somewhere else. He comes out and finds Gia in the kitchen. Gia says, "You are awake. This is my home. You're welcome here." Then the scene shifts to the last night. We see Gia and Min-soo coming to meet Song, but the security guard says he never came here. Min-soo asks, "What if he ran away?" Just then, Gia gets a call from a police officer who says Song is there. Gia and Min-soo immediately goes to the police station. There, she sees Song sleeping. An officer tells Gia, "We found him by the roadside." In the next scene, Song is on Min-soo's back. Min-soo asks Gia, "Why are you taking him to your house? We can drop him at his home." But Gia says, "Can't you see his condition?" Min-soo says, "That's his problem. I'll drop him at a hotel." But Gia doesn't want that. Later, Min-soo brings Song home and lays him on Gia's bed. Coming outside, he asks her, "Aren't you scared that you'll be alone with him? What if he is a murderer?" Gia says, "I'm scared that if Song really is a murderer, I'll hold myself responsible too. I supported him to become like this. Right now, I'm his lawyer, and I have to protect my client." After Min-soo leaves, Gia goes into the room to get something. Suddenly, Her eyes fell on Song's photo near the bed. Gia secretly takes that photo and is about to leave when Song says in his sleep, "Don't go." So Gia comes and sits beside him, touches his face, and holds his hand. Back in the present, Song is looking at Gia, shocked. Then he sees a large kitchen knife in her hand. Seeing the knife, Song gets scared and starts backing away. Gia puts the knife away and tries to explain, but Song doesn't listen. He turns and tries to run. Gia, trying to stop him, holds up an official court summons. If you run again, a warrant could be issued against you. But he doesn't take her seriously and runs away from there. On the other hand, we see Kim at the forensics lab, where a doctor is explaining Lynn's autopsy report to him and a police officer Namsik who took Song's statement. The doctor says, "The victim didn't try to save himself. I think the person who stabbed him must have been someone he knew, and the knife was used in a professional way." Kim asks, is it possible that the person in front was drunk and stabbed him? But the doctor denies it. In the next scene, Namsik says, "You said the autopsy would reveal something, but we found nothing." Kim says, "I found out there was no weapon there, nor Lynn's phone. Where did all that go? Whatever happens, find some evidence that proves Song is connected to this case. We'll later force him to confess that he killed Lynn." Meanwhile, people are protesting outside the agency, demanding punishment for Song. Gia meets Song's manager and the boss. Gia says, "The Gold Boys worked day and night for this company, and now, when Song is in trouble, you want to terminate his contract?" But Yang replies, "We are only responding to public pressure by putting out a statement. Song hasn't been proven guilty in court yet. We haven't officially terminated his contract." Then Gia also asks, "Did Song and Lynn fight that day?" Young tells Gia they never fought. Just then, the other two Gold Boys members, Jin and Chin, arrive. Gia is very happy inside because now she gets to see them face to face. Gia asks them, "What happened that day? Was there a fight because I saw it on the news?" Jin gets angry and says, "We didn't fight. By the way, I know who you are. I've heard a lot about you. But this time, you won't be able to help Song because he really killed Lynn. He is a murderer." In the next scene, Gia says, "Not a single person is with Song." Just then, Gia hears news on the radio that Song's mother is giving interviews saying her son committed the murder. He should admit his mistake. On the other hand, Song comes to meet Yang. Song asks, "I heard you canceled my contract. Is it true? You know how good friends Lynn and I were. I couldn't kill him." Yang says, "Only you know what happened that night, and only you can prove your innocence. Until then, we can't do anything." Song asks, "So you're abandoning me?" Yang says, "What is your mother doing these days? She took a loan in your name. Because of this murder case, the company can't repay that loan, and the interest keeps increasing. She is giving interviews for money, and I'm trying to stop her. This is all I can do for you now." Meanwhile, Gia meets Song's mother. Gia says, "You're spreading false news. Song hasn't even been proven guilty yet." Song's mother says, "He's my son, and I know him well. I raised him, so if I'm getting money because of him, what's wrong with that?" Gia says, Song conveyed the painful memories of his childhood to everyone through his songs, but it seems none of that reached his mother. "If you give any interview against Song, I'll handle you legally." Saying this, Jaya leaves. Then Jaya gets a call from Min-soo. He tells her Song has run away. Hearing this, Jaya gets worried. Meanwhile, we see Song is crossing a bridge. He bumps into some schoolboys. One boy notices something. He says the shoes he is wearing are Gold Boys. The boys approach Song and ask him to hand over his shoes. One of them recognizes Song and says, "This is Song, the murderer." He also takes out his phone and starts making a video. Song curses at them, which angers the boys, and they start beating him up. In the next scene, Gia arrives there. The boys are walking nearby. Gia sees the shoes with them. She asks, "Where is the owner?" One boy, looking at her, says, "I think you want a date." Just then, Min-soo comes from behind. He beats up all three. Gia takes the shoes and finds Song, who had his hands on his ears. Song says, "I didn't kill my friend." Gia says, "Yes, I know how you're feeling. You want to give up everything, but we have to find out what happened that night. We have to get justice for your friend. Until all this happens, I will be with you." Later, she extends her hand towards him. On the other hand, Kim is talking to his father, Jong. He tells him about the case. Jong says, "The case is simple. Two people. One killed the other. By the way, do you know what a prosecutor is?" Kim says, "Someone who brings out the truth." Jong says, "No. A prosecutor is someone who, if you get a suspect, somehow makes him confess that he is the murderer. By the way, you must know Gia well. She was your classmate." Hearing this, Kim is surprised and realizes Gia is the girl he bullied in school. Meanwhile, the police find CCTV footage showing Song going to a store. An officer says Song said he went out to buy drinks that night, but according to the CCTV footage, he went to the store but didn't buy any drinks, and to go home, he chose a long route. The time to go home by that route is 20 minutes. But that day, Song took 40 minutes. In the next scene, Song is at Gia's house. He starts telling Gia about his past. When he was 10 years old, his mother used to sing in a bar. Seeing her, Song started singing too. At that time, Yang sees him singing and brings him to his company and tells him to sing. This is how Song became a singer. Song's days, there were not good. He used to have fights, but a boy, Lynn, was always with him. Song didn't pay attention to him at first, but later they become good friends. In the present, Song tells Gia, that night, we drank alcohol, talked, and listened to music. That's all that happened. Gia shows Song a video and asks, what happened that day when you two were fighting? Song asks, where did you get this? Gia says, that's not important. What's important is that someone saw you two fighting. Song says, we weren't fighting. We just had a little argument. I'm not a killer. That's why I'll do anything to recover my memories. He also adds, by the way, I have no place to stay, so I'll stay at your house. Besides, you said you would be by my side until all this is sorted. Hearing this, Gia is shocked. On the other hand, Kim is looking at Gia's profile. Just then, the prosecutor Chuan comes to meet him. He says, my sister-in-law wants to meet you. She is very beautiful, but Kim refuses to meet her. Just then, his sister-in-law arrives there, who is none other than Linhwa. In the next scene, both Kim and Linhwa are sitting together. Linhwa starts talking about dating first, but then starts mentioning the case. She asks, do you think that Idol is guilty? Kim says, I can't say anything about the case. Linhwa says, I don't think Song would have killed anyone. Kim says that Idol is a murderer, and I will prove it. Then Kim leaves to receive a call, and when he comes back, Linhwa is not there. Meanwhile, Song goes with Gia to Lynn's funeral. Reporters immediately swarm them, shouting questions, asking questions. Song doesn't say anything and goes inside. There are many other people. Song looks at Lynn's photo. When he comes out, the media is asking questions again. But Song says, Lynn was my only best friend. I will do everything to catch his killer. In the next scene, Gia is with Song at Kim's office. Kim shows them the CCTV footage and asks, you said you went out to buy drinks that night. You came out of the store, but you had nothing in your hands. Song says, I didn't find anything, so I didn't buy anything. Kim asks, why did you take a longer route when your friend was waiting for you at home? Gia says, this has nothing to do with that. Then they both step outside. Later, Gia says, didn't I tell you not to hide anything from me? So why didn't you tell me this? Song says, I forgot, and leaves. Meanwhile, we see Namsik, who goes to meet Kim and shows him a CCTV footage where a car stops near Song. Namsik says, I think she wanted to kill him. A girl comes out of the car, and it's actually Linhwa. On the other hand, Gia tells Song, I'm your lawyer. I should know everything, but you're lying to me. Song says, I have already told you everything. I am not lying. But Gia says, no, you're lying. When you lie, your neck turns red, and you avoid eye contact. Hearing this, Song is shocked and says, how do you know that? She doesn't say anything and starts to leave. A biker is passing by. Song pulls her towards him, takes her in his arms, and saves her. Gia moves away from him. Just then, Linhwa arrives and hugs Song. Gia watches both of them. Then we see a flashback where Gia goes to a convenience store. There, she sees a news about rumors of Song dating a trainee. Gia gets upset and can't focus on anything. Min-soo brings food for her, but she doesn't eat. A few days pass like this. One day, her friend shows her another news clip where Song clarifies, we are just friends. We are not dating. Seeing this, Gia breathes a sigh of relief. In the present, Gia sees Song and Linhwa together. Then, Gia sees a reporter taking photos of the two of them. She tells them, we have to leave from here. So they leave. In the next scene, Min-soo arrives and asks Gia why she called him. Then Min-soo notices Linhwa and asks, who is she? Gia says, she's the one Song was rumored to be dating. Min-soo asks, so this is the one because of whom you cried without eating for 3 days? Gia says nothing. Min-soo says he never dated anyone and only loved his fans. And now look at him. I told you not to trust those makeup-wearing guys. Why did you give your heart to a guy like that? Gia says, he's just my client. My feelings have nothing to do with all this. Meanwhile, Linhwa is talking to Song. Song says, I know why you came here. You thought I would meet the prosecutor and mention your name, but I'm not going to do that, so you stay away from me and my life. Linhwa says, what are you talking about? I came to meet you. Song says he has nothing to talk about and starts to leave. Linhwa then says, when I was leaving after meeting you that night, I saw Jin heading towards your house. Later, Song goes to Gia. Gia says, that girl is the one you met for 20 minutes, right? Why didn't you tell me? You lied to me. Song says, I didn't lie. She has nothing to do with this case. Let her go. I'm going somewhere now. I'll explain everything later. Do me a favor. Take her home safely. He takes Min-soo's bike and leaves. In the next scene, Gia drops Min-soo home and says Linhwa said that when she met Song that night, a taxi passed by and then they separated. Min-soo says, then that taxi driver could be a witness. Gia says, investigate that taxi and get the footage. The scene shifts to the agency, where Jin is telling the manager, the boss doesn't want to renew my contract. Before he kicks me out, I'll leave this agency myself. Jin tries to stop him, but Jin says, you should leave too. There's no future for you here. Just then, Song arrives and asks the manager, was Jin in the hospital the day Lynn died? The manager says he doesn't know. Jin confronts Song. What do you want to do now? Want to blame everything on me? I know you are the one who killed Lynn. Jin intervenes intervenes, confirming Jin was in the hospital. The manager takes Song outside and asks, "What are you doing?" Song asks, "Are you sure Jin was in the hospital?" The manager says, "I don't know. I was at the office that day. By the way, where are you staying now? Do you have a place?" Song says, "What if I don't? Will you keep me? But I'm a murder suspect." Saying this, he leaves. On the other hand, Gia thinks Song is a celebrity. So what? He can date too. No one deceived me. But why do I feel like this? Just then, Gia finds out about another article about Lynn. Just then, Song calls Gia and says, "Will this article be taken down as soon as possible? Is there a way?" Gia says, "It will take time." Song says, "There isn't that much time," and hangs up. In the next scene, Song goes to the reporter Shim, who posted the article about Song and Linhwa. Song asks the reporter to delete the article, but the reporter refuses, saying, "I don't want to, but maybe I'll consider it if you kneel like you did in the past." Then we see a flashback where the reporter shows photos of Song and Linhwa dating and demands money. Song refuses to pay and says, "I'm not scared. Do what you want." The reporter shows Song a photo of Linhwa with some other guy and says, "This will definitely affect Linhwa, right?" Back to the present, Gia arrives and overhears their conversation. Jin says, "Now I'm going to do a big expose because I found out who Linhwa is. She's the hidden daughter of the Imhwa group." Hearing this, Song gets angry. He grabs Shin and says, "I can kill you." Shin taunts him, "You can't do anything." Song says, "Don't you know I'm a murder suspect? I can do anything." Just then, Gia arrives and asks Shin to delete the article, but Shin refuses and says, "This is my job." Gia says, "Making someone's personal information public without their consent is a crime. Are you deleting the article? Or should I take legal action?" Gia then takes Song outside. Gia scolds Song, "Why do you keep doing things on your own? I should know everything so I can be prepared in advance." Song says, "My whole life has become a lie." He recalls a flashback. Song gets a text from Linhwa saying she has returned and wants to meet, but Song ignores her. In the next scene, Lynn is talking to Linhwa, telling her to stay away from Song and let him focus on his work. Song overhears their conversation and confronts Lynn. "Why did you talk to Linhwa?" Lynn says, "I told Linhwa to stay away from you for some time. Your solo release is coming." Just then, Jin sees them and records a video. Song says, "I'm not angry that you talked to her or said the things I wanted to say. I'm angry that now we have secrets between us too." Next we see, on the day of Lynn's death, Song gets a message from Linhwa saying she will wait for him at the place they used to meet and will wait until he comes. So Song tells Lynn that the soju is finished and he's going to get some. He goes to a convenience store and then goes to meet Linhwa. He gets in her car and says, "You only have 5 minutes," on which Linhwa says, "We met after so long, and this is all you have to say." Song says, "I came to meet you because I want to end everything with you." Linhwa tells Song, "I missed you, so I came to see you. I shouldn't have said all those things that hurt you." On this, Song says, "My solo release is about to happen, and I've put everything into it. I don't want you to ruin my life again, so stay away from me." Saying this, Song starts to leave. Just then, Linhwa drives her car really fast towards him and slams the brakes at the last moment. She gets out of her car and looks at him for a while, and then leaves. In the present, Song takes Gia to the same place where he met Linhwa that night. Song says, "I'm sorry, I didn't want to hide this." Gia looks at him and says, "I know why you did it. You wanted to protect her." Song agrees and says, "We broke up a long time ago, but I still want to protect her. Will you help me?" Gia agrees. On the other hand, Kim interrogates Linhwa, asking what they talked about in the car. Linhwa says, "I've already said we're just friends. We had some private conversations." So Kim asks, "What kind of friend tries to hit another friend with a car?" Linhwa says nothing. Kim says, "If you keep refusing like this statement could be used against you in court." She then confronts him. "That day, you said no matter what, you'd prove Song committed the murder. But I want to tell you, he didn't kill anyone. Catch the real killer. The Gold Boys members said they were at the hospital, but that's not true. I saw Jin outside Song's house." Meanwhile, Jaya returns home to find Song changing clothes. She looks away and asks, "What are you doing?" Song says, "I told you to knock before coming in." Gia says, "When did you say that?" "Anyway, it's my house. You could have changed in the bathroom too." Later, Song asks Gia what she wanted to talk about. Gia says she's going to investigate the case to keep Linhwa away from it. Hearing this, Song becomes happy. Then he also says, "Linhwa told me she saw Jin outside my house that night, but when I asked him, he said he was in the hospital. I'm not telling you this so you'd suspect Jin. I'm telling you this because I don't want to hide anything from you." Gia says she look into it and leaves. Meanwhile, Gia meets Min-soo and says, "On the day of the incident, Linhwa saw Jin near Song's house. Song said Jin was at the hospital that night, but I don't think so. Find out about him." Gia then says, "Why am I feeling so sad?" Min-soo asks, "What happened to you?" Gia tells him, "I thought I knew everything about Song, but I didn't realize how sad he is. Now that he's so close to me, he feels very far away. When I saw him with Linhwa, it felt like their world was a different one, where I could never go." Later, Gia comes home and finds Song sleeping on the couch. She sits and watches him. She thinks, maybe I should have gone back to that time when I was far from you, but I could see you smiling and love you openly. In the morning, Song wakes up covered with a blanket. Gia is not at home. He also finds a note from Gia telling him to have breakfast. Just then, Min-soo arrives with products like shampoo and supplements. He recalls Gia giving him these in the morning, explaining he should give them to Song as he looks weak lately. Song asks, how did you know I use all these? Min-soo says, I just brought them like that. Song asks, did Gia come to your place last night? Min-soo says yes. Then Song asks, your surnames are different. Are you two related? Min-soo says, no, our bond is deeper than that. But why are you asking? Song says, just like that. He then goes to shower. In the next scene, Gia goes to meet Kim with Song. Gia says, Linhwa is not involved in this case, but you keep interrogating her. Now we have proof. She shows evidence, the timing of Song and Linhwa's meeting and a call history from Young to Lynn. The call happened after Song and Linhwa met. Gia argues, the timing proves Linhwa and Song didn't kill Lynn together because Lynn was alive after their meeting. So I want you to keep Linhwa away from this case. If you don't, I can sue you too. Saying this, she leaves. Outside, Song asks, won't he bother Linhwa? Won't he call her? Gia says, for now they can't call her. Hearing this, Song hugs her and says thank you. Just then, Kim arrives and tells Song, can you leave us alone for a while? Song refuses. Gia tells Song to wait in the car. She'll come. After Song leaves, Kim says, stinky Gia, or should I say prosecutor Gia. It's been a long time since we met, hasn't it? Did you take this case because I was the opposing counsel? Gia laughs and says, who do you think you are? If you focus on the case instead of whining, you might achieve something. Saying this, she leaves. Gia comes outside. Song is waiting for her. Song asks, do you know that lawyer? Gia says, I don't know him. As they drive, Song looks at Gia angrily. So Gia asks him, why are you looking at me like that? Song says, looking at you, it seems like you've never dated anyone, but I know the truth. One guy at home and one here. Gia says, what are you talking about? Song says, I think that prosecutor must be your ex. Hearing this, Gia shouts, what nonsense are you talking? He was my classmate, Song says, so you were close friends. So Gia says, no, I didn't like him at all. Just then, Gia notices that the car's brakes have failed. And then suddenly, their car is in the air. Song sees Gia and hugs her. In the next scene, we see Gia is in the hospital. She wakes up and sees Song, who is holding her hand. Song asks, are you okay? Gia looks at her hand. So Song pulls his hand back. Just then, Min-soo arrives. He asks, how did this happen? Song says the car brakes suddenly failed. Gia's hand is injured and she is in pain. So Song goes to call a doctor. After he leaves, Gia tells Min-soo to find out if this was just an accident. Min-soo asks, do you think someone caused this? Gia says, I don't know, but something doesn't feel right. Meanwhile, Song is talking to a doctor. Song then sees reporter Shin there and hides. Later, he tells Gia that Shin has arrived. Gia tells Song they need to leave from here. If the reporter sees them, it will be a problem. Gia tells Min-soo to handle things here. She takes Song and leaves from there. On the other hand, Kim's boss asks him, why did you drag Linhwa into the case? Besides, you said you had found the culprit. Kim says there was no solid evidence against him. We're investigating. The boss tells Kim that he got this case because of his father's influence. If you can't handle this, admit your mistake and leave the case. Kim comes out. He recalls an incident from his school days. Gia is leaving school and tells Kim, becoming a prosecutor is your dream, right? I hope your dream comes true, so you can see the truth with your own eyes. He then goes into his office where he asks Namsik, did you find something? Namsik says, I investigated Jin and found out Linhwa was right. Jin wasn't at the hospital that day. So Kim says, okay, you keep investigating him. We have 2 suspects. We have to make one of them confess that he killed Lynn. In the next scene, we see Gia and Song are walking. Song looks at her and says, are you okay? You're not walking properly. Gia says she has sprained her ankle. So Song picks her up. Gia says, what are you doing? You already have a disc problem. Song asks her how you knew about that. So Gia makes an excuse and says everyone's discs become weak. At that age, mine is too. She tells Song to put her down, but Song refuses and brings her home. Later, Gia asks Song why he did that. Song tells Gia, you're injured. How can I ignore that? Until you get better, don't do anything. I'll do all the work. Meanwhile, Song is looking inside the fridge. There are photos of him on all the products. Then Gia comes out after taking a shower. She's going to dry her hair, but then Song stops her. He brings a fan and makes Gia sit in front of it. He remembers that Kim called her stinky, so he calls her stinky. Gia looks at him. Song says he said it first, so I just said it too. What did he say that? Gia says, it doesn't mean I smell. He used to tease me by this name in school, and I couldn't do anything. Song says, you can call him bacteria. Hearing this, Gia starts laughing. When he sees Gia laughing, Song's heartbeat quickens. So Song makes an excuse and leaves from there. In the next scene, they are eating, but Gia is doing her work. Song tells Gia that someone is eating in front of her, and instead of keeping him company, she's busy with work. Gia apologizes to him and also starts eating. Song says, I think you like me. He shows the photos of various products at home and says, my photo is on all these. Gia says that's not true. So Song says, these products were trending at that time and you must have bought them. I think that's what happened. Gia also nods. Song then says, I know there is no one in this world who loves me. Hearing this, Gia says, you have so many fans who love you so much. Why are you saying this? Song says, they don't love me. They love Song of Gold Boys. There's no one who understands me. There was one person, but now he's gone too. It's good that you don't like me. If you liked me, I would have made you sad too. Meanwhile, Min-soo finds out that someone deliberately tampered with Gia's car brakes. He tells Gia about this. Just then, Song wakes up and sees Min-soo, wondering why he's here so early. He starts listening to their conversation when Min-soo says, it's possible that Song tampered with the car's brakes. You said he left first with the keys. He might have done it to show people that someone is trying to kill him and that the culprit is someone else. But Gia says that can't be. Min-soo says, how can you believe in him? Gia reminds him of a past scene. She tells him, you stole twice and I saved you both times. But I also said I wouldn't take your third case. But I had to take it because you kept saying you didn't steal. So the situation here is the same. Song didn't kill him. I will never stop believing in my client. Song becomes happy hearing this. In the next scene, we see Kim and Namsik interrogating Jin. Jin tells the officer, why are you accusing me? I was in the hospital that night. Kim shows him the CCTV footage and says, you were found near Song's house that night. You lied. So now you're also on the suspect list. Jin says, I didn't do anything. Song is the killer. Kim says there's no evidence against him. But Jin says, I have evidence. I can show you. Meanwhile, Min-soo comes to meet Gia. They both are going to the police station. Song says, I'll come with you. So Min-soo says, let him come. So he knows what happened because of him. At the police station, Song's stalker fans are being interrogated. They had snuck into Song's house before, and even now, they are the one who tampered with Gia's car brakes. Just then, Gia and Song also arrive there. Gia asks them why they did this. They say, Song killed our Lynn, so how can we let him live? Hearing this, Song becomes sad. Gia starts filing a report against them. But Song tells her to let them go. Song tells those fans, do whatever you want to me, but don't hurt others because of me. Saying this, he leaves from there. Gia follows him and asks, what are you doing? You should have filed a report when they broke into your house. They should be punished. But Song says, what good will that do? It will only make them angrier, and they'll do such things again. I can't put you in danger. Just then, Gia gets a call from the office, and she brings Song to the office. Gia tells Song to wait in the cabin and goes to meet her boss. The boss tells Gia that the opposing prosecutor has requested a face-to-face interrogation. Jin has told them something. Prosecutor Han tells Gia she should drop this case. I'm saying this for your own good. The boss also tells her Han will handle this case. Hearing this, Gia says, I will not abandon my client. If you don't approve of this, I will resign. But I will stay with my client until the end. Saying this, she leaves and goes to her cabin. Song asks Gia, what happened? Gia tells him Jin has told the prosecutor something that could be used against him. Do you know what Jin might have told them? Song says he doesn't know. Shall I go and ask him? But Gia says, you can do that. The police will think you went to change his statement. You should talk to someone close to him. In the next scene, they talk to Chin. Chin says, I don't know anything. But Song says, I know you're lying when you said Jin was at the hospital that night. You must know something. Please tell us. The story goes into a flashback where both are in the hospital looking at online comments. Hearing bad things about himself, Jin becomes angry. Then, when Chin wakes up in the middle of the night, Jin is not on his bed. Then, the next morning, Chin sees the news of Lynn's murder. Back to the present, Song asks Chin, why didn't you tell me before? Chin keeps looking at him. Song realizes that he thought I was the murderer, so he didn't tell me. He comes out. Gia asks him, are you okay? Song says, what would happen to me? He was right not to tell us. If I were in his place, I would have done the same. We used to live lovingly before, but with time, I became arrogant. He then asks, I have hurt many people. How can you believe in me? But Gia says, I believe in you. In the next scene, Gia tells Song about the plant in her house that shakes when someone lies. She touches it and says, I believe in Song. The leaves do not shake. Song touches the plant and says, I did not kill Lynn. The plant doesn't shake. Seeing this, Song becomes happy. Just then, Linhwa arrives there. She sees them together and asks Gia, how can you do this? Gia says nothing. Linhwa grabs Song's hand and says, let's go. But Song pulls his hand away. He holds Gia's hand and says, you should leave. I want to stay here. In the next scene, Song is talking to Linhwa outside the house. Linhwa asks, "Since when have you been living with that lawyer?" Song says, "You don't need to know all that. I told you to get out of my life. We broke up a long time ago." Linhwa then says, "I never broke up with you." Song says, "We did break up. You know this very well. You said that because of me, your life was ruined. Now leave me alone." Linhwa asks, "Then what is that girl to you?" So Song says, "She's the only one I can believe in right now. I used to be upset, I kept taking medication, but ever since I've been living with her, I feel good. If you truly care about me, don't come in front of me again." Later, Linhwa recalls a scene from the past, where Linhwa shows Song several photos. These are the same photos reporter Shin had shown Song earlier. She asks, "Why didn't you tell me about this?" She starts to leave, but Song tells her, "I wanted to protect you. Can't you forget everything and love me like before?" Linhwa says, "What do you think of yourself? Do you think you're special to me? You're nothing. Your mother keeps gambling and you keep drowning in debt. Paying off that debt is your job." Hearing this, Song says, "Why are you saying such things? I already said sorry, didn't I? Am I truly nothing to you?" Linhwa says, "Yes, that's right. You are nothing to me." Hearing this, Song gets heartbroken. Meanwhile, we see Gia doing her work. She recalls the scene where Song held her hand. Just then, Song arrives and asks, "Were you sleeping?" She doesn't answer. So Song tells Gia, "You must have been surprised by what happened today. I want to stay here a little longer. I feel good here. You must be tired helping someone like me. But from now on, I'll do my best." Saying this, he leaves. The next morning, we see Gia coming out of the house. She tells Song, "We're going to talk at the prosecutor's office. You need to keep a few things in mind. He might try to provoke you emotionally. No matter what, don't get angry." But Song says, "Don't worry, I won't get angry." In the next scene, everyone is at the prosecutor's office. Jin says he killed Lynn. Song gets angry at him and shouts, "Why are you lying?" Jin tells them, "Look, he keeps shouting like this. When he was with Lynn, they used to fight all the time." Gia says, "Jin has lied before. His words cannot be trusted." Kim says, "Jin told us you were going to leave the group." Song tells Jin, "You still believe in rumors?" But Jin says, "It wasn't a rumor. I told Lynn that you signed an agreement with another agency. He came to you that day to talk to you, to stop you. But you killed him." Song says, "Stop lying." Jin says, "You are the one lying." Then Kim says, "We have checked your mother's account transaction history. You used your mother's account so that you wouldn't get caught." Song is shocked hearing all this. After they leave, Song asks Gia to meet his mother. So in the next scene, they both go to meet Song's mother at a cafe. Song takes her outside and asks, "Did you sign a contract with another agency in my name?" She admits it and says, "I needed money." Song tells his mother, "Because of what you did, I have become a murderer suspect. Don't you feel bad?" But his mother says, "I felt very bad when the prosecutor called me for questioning. My son has taken someone's life. They said if you confess to your crime, you will get 10 years in prison." Song asks his mother, "You don't even believe your own son." Song's mother tells him, "You should confess to your crime." Hearing this, Song angrily tells his mother to leave. After this, as they are going in the car, Gia sees that Song is upset. So she takes him to the rooftop of a building. On a big screen in front, a Gold Boys video is playing. Gia tells Song, "Gold Boys fans collected money and made this ad to pay tribute to you and Lynn. There are fans who believe in you, and they are waiting for you." On the other side, the manager is talking to Jin. He asks, "Why did you tell the prosecutor about Song?" But Jin says, "Song betrayed us by contracting with another agency." The manager tells him, "Yes, but Song didn't do it. Anyway, I'll talk to the boss so that your and Shin's contracts can be renewed." Just then, Jin arrives with his bag and says, "Never mind, I don't need it. I'm leaving now. Song came to meet me. I couldn't look him in the eyes because I felt guilty." Jin says, "Why are you feeling sorry for him? He is a killer." But Jin says, "You also know that Song couldn't do such a thing. They were so close." Saying this, he leaves. Meanwhile, Gia tells Song, "I'll find out which agency your mother signed the contract with. Since you didn't sign this contract, it will be easier to cancel it." Song says, "I'll try talking to Yang so he can renew my contract." Then Gia gets a message from someone and leaves. Then we see Gia goes to meet Linhwa. Linhwa apologizes, "I'm sorry about that day." Gia says, "You misunderstood. I brought Song to my house because his house was seized and he had no place to stay." Linhwa then tells her about a lawyer who will work with her on Song's case. But Gia refuses and says, "I work alone." On this, Linhwa says, "I've been with Song for 10 years. I love him. I want to do something for him." Hearing this, Gia tells her, "I'll let you know when I need your help." In the next scene, we see Song arriving in his company with Gia. He tells her to wait and goes inside. Meanwhile, we see Song talking to Young. Song says, "Jin said I signed a contract with another agency. You know that can't be true, right?" Young says, "Yes, I know you wouldn't do such a thing." Song talks about renewing his contract. So Yang agrees and says, "I will help you as much as I can, but you will have to prove your innocence yourself." Later, Song comes out and finds Gia talking to King, where he is saying, "You took Song's case because this case is like your father's case." A past scene is shown where Gia's father is in jail, accused of murder. Gia tells her father, "Say that you didn't do this." Her father asks her, "If I say no, will you believe me?" On this, Gia says nothing. Back to the present, Gia says, at that time, I couldn't tell him that I believed in him. After that, he left me. Song overhears their conversation. In the next scene, Song sees Gia working and comes to her. He tells Gia, you know everything about me, but I don't know anything about you. He asks, what is your hobby? Gia remembers that she used to like and comment on Song's posts, but she says, I don't have any hobbies. Then Song asks, what do you do to relax? Gia remembers that she listens to Song's music. She lies to Song saying, I don't like music. Hearing this, Song says, who doesn't like music? He takes Gia to a place with a piano. There, Song plays the piano and also sings a song for Gia. Meanwhile, Min-soo finds the agency that signed the contract with Song's mother. Gia is going to meet the CEO of that agency. Just then, Song asks Gia for the house keys. Gia gives him the keys and leaves. Song then goes to a store and buys groceries. He's about to cook Gia's favorite food. So he calls his former housekeeper, who asks, what made you remember me today? So Song tells her what he plans to cook and asks for her help. Tell me how to make it. Meanwhile, Gia meets the CEO and says, this contract will be considered illegal because Song didn't sign it himself. The CEO tells Gia, we are also victims. They offered us to sign the contract from their side. Gia asks, who offered? On which the CEO says, it was Gold Boy's Lynn. He said he would bring Song, so we agreed. Hearing this, Gia is shocked. On the other side, Song sees that the rice is finished, so he calls Min-soo and asks, do you know where the rice might be? Min-soo says, check in the storage room. Song goes to the storage room and finds the rice. Just then, his eyes fall on Gia's diary. It has her childhood photos. Seeing them makes him happy. Then Song finds a box there, and seeing it, he is shocked. In the next scene, Gia comes home and panics, seeing all her things scattered everywhere. Song has found out that Gia is his fan. He asks, Gia, what is all this? Gia doesn't say anything. Song says, back then, I didn't understand how you could believe in me so much and protect me, but now I understand. Gia tells Song, it's true that I was your fan, but I didn't take your case because of that. But Song says, then why did you take my case? Why did you hide all these things? For the first time, I thought someone saw me as a normal person, not just an idol. That's why I started trusting you too. But I was wrong. Saying this, Song leaves from there. Meanwhile, Song is running and thinking about Gia. Just then, he gets a call from his manager. On the other side, Min-soo comes to meet Gia and, seeing the scattered things, asks, why is all this lying around like this? Gia tells Min-soo that Song has found out she is his fan. Min-soo starts picking up the things and says, I told you not to let him into this house, but you didn't listen to me. You should have thrown this stuff away. Gia tells him, I went to throw them away, but I couldn't throw it. If I threw it away, the time when I loved someone would disappear. So I brought it back and hid it in the storage room. But I didn't know this would happen. Saying this, Gia starts crying. Meanwhile, Song goes to meet the manager. The manager tells Song that Jin has gone somewhere. Did he call you? Song tells him, he didn't call me. The manager tells Song that Chin has also left the group because he felt guilty for doubting you. The prosecutor has called Jin for interrogation. Song asks, why has he been called again? He already went that day. The manager says, I don't know. They've called you too. Didn't your lawyer tell you? In the next scene, the manager calls the boss and tells him that Jin is not answering his phone. Song also doesn't know anything about him, so Yang says we have to find Jin before the police do. The next morning, Gia gets a call from Song's manager, and he tells her that Song has been called for questioning. She immediately rushes out. On the other side, we see Song being interrogated. Song says, how would I know where Jin is? Kim tells him Jin's disappearance can only benefit you. Just then, Gia arrives and tells Kim, what are you doing? Don't you know you can't interrogate a suspect without a lawyer? Kim says, if the suspect agrees to do this without a lawyer, I can question him. Hearing this, Gia becomes upset. Then we see Gia is waiting for Song. Song comes out and starts to leave. Gia stops him and says, you can't come for questioning like this without a lawyer. You'll get into more trouble. Song says, you can say anything now. I won't believe your words. Gia says, it's true that I was your fan, and I took that case because of that. But ever since I became your lawyer, I set my feelings aside. I liked Gold Boy's Song, but I have defended Song. For me, you both are different people. Hearing this, Song tells her, I'm not upset because you lied to me. I'm upset because I had started trusting you. You are no longer my lawyer. You're fired. Saying this, he leaves. Song then meets his manager and asks, did you call her here? Don't make such mistakes next time. She has nothing to do with this case anymore. On the other side, Kim approaches Gia and says, you did so much for your client, and now he's firing you. Gia asks Kim, don't you have any work? Kim says, Jin is missing. Gia replies, we don't know if Jin is missing or has run away, and you're already closing the case. If you think Song has something to do with Jin's disappearance, then investigate properly. But you won't do that. You're just like your father father. A prosecutor's job is to bring out the truth. But Kim says the truth always comes out in courts. Just like your father was proven guilty, I will make sure Song gets punished too, and you won't be able to do anything. Saying this, Kim leaves from there. In the next scene, Gia meets Linhua. Gia tells her, Song has fired me. He needs a new lawyer as soon as possible. Hearing this, Linhua tells her, thank you for helping Song until now. I'll handle everything from now on. Don't meet each other again, Gia says. Don't worry, we won't meet, and leaves from there. In the next scene, Gia returns home. She then packs Song's things and throws them outside her house. In the next scene, Namsik tells Kim, we should find Jin. He must know something that can solve this case. Kim says, you find him, but Song will remain the prime suspect. We must focus on him and arrest him. Namsik agrees. Meanwhile, Song receives a letter containing the termination agreement with lawyer Gia. He then gets a call from a lawyer and goes to meet him. The lawyer tells Song, I'm interested in your case, but Song tells him, I don't want a lawyer. As Song is leaving, he meets Linhua, who asks him, why did you refuse to take a lawyer? Song asks, so you sent that lawyer to me? Linhua tells him, Gia came to meet me. She asked me to help you. Song says, stop helping me. If I accept help from someone, I have to return it, and right now, I have nothing. So, don't do anything for me. Linhua asks Song, are you doing all this because of Gia? Do you like her? Song doesn't answer and leaves. On the other side, Minsu tells Gia, you're not well. You should rest. Gia starts to leave without responding. Just then, Minsu holds Gia's hand and asks, can't you see that I care about you? I know you consider me family, but can't you depend on me for just a moment? He is about to say something else, but Gia pulls her hand away and says, I know what you want to say, but we shouldn't cross the line. Gia then leaves from there. Minsu recalls how they first met, where he is crying after his parents passed away. Gia comes to him and gives him chocolate. After that, in the next scene, Minsu is caught for theft, and he meets Gia as his lawyer. Minsu tells Gia, I know you. We've met before. Gia asks Minsu for his address. Minsu says, I don't have a home, so Gia lets him live in her basement. Minsu asks her, why are you helping me? Gia says, I'm not helping you. If you live here, you'll pay half the bills. That will help me. On the other side, seeing Gia in the office working so late at night, Gia's boss asks her for coffee. Gia is talking to him about Song's case. So the boss tells her, I've found out that before this incident, the agency was checking Gold Boy's contracts. They found out that someone in the group was going to betray them. Gia remembers that Lynn had signed Song's contract with another agency. The boss tells Gia the CEO is not a good person. He won't spare someone who betrays them. Meanwhile, Song is waiting outside Gia's office. Just then, Gia comes out and Song hides. When Gia leaves, he follows her. Gia goes outside a convenience store and starts drinking. Song stands nearby, watching her, and mutters to himself, you said you don't even drink. Gia looks at Song's number on her phone and calls him. A phone rings nearby. Before Gia can suspect anything, Song switches off his phone. Gia then leaves in a taxi. She goes to the place where Song had previously taken her, the place with the piano. She starts playing the piano, unaware that Song has arrived and is watching her. In the next scene, she is returning home, singing Song's song. She stumbles and falls, gets up, while Song is watching all this behind her. Gia then goes inside her house. Song is about to leave when he sees his things thrown out and picks up the hat he had given to Gia. On the other side, Gia falls asleep and receives a call from Jin. In the next scene, the police find Jin's car. Meanwhile, we see Song at home, wearing the hat. He texts Jin and asks if Jin called him. Jin says no. Just then, he gets a fall from someone and learns about Jin's accident. He rushes to the hospital. A police officer also calls Gia, asking if Jin called her. He informs her about the accident. Then we see Gia coming home in the rain and finds Song sitting outside her house. Gia goes near Song. Seeing Gia, Song faints. Then we see a scene from the past where Song arrives at the hospital. The doctor informs them about Jin's condition, that they cannot say anything until Jin regains consciousness. Song angrily asks, what is happening here? Yang asks Song, what are you doing here? If reporters see you, it won't be good for you. On this, Song says, Jin's condition is critical, and you're worried about reporters? He couldn't have killed himself. But Yang says, we found a suicide note. On the other hand, we see Namsik talking to Gia. He says, we have checked Jin's call records. Besides you, he last called Song and the CEO. Jin calling Song and the CEO makes sense, but why did he call you? Gia says, Jin sent me a voice message. Gia plays the message for the officer. In it, Jin says, why aren't you answering my phone? Are you with Song? I need help. I forgot to tell you something. That day, when I came downstairs and called Lynn, his phone was ringing from the garden. I thought it was my imagination, so I ignored it. Jin is still speaking when someone arrives there. In the next scene, Gia checks the garden with Minsu, where she tells him, talk to the people around. Minsu says, Jin might have heard someone else's voice. Anyway, he has confessed to killing Lynn, but Gia says, I don't think it's true. On this, Min-soo tells her, you're not Song's lawyer anymore. You once told me that if we hold on to our past, we remain trapped in it. So you need to come out of it too. Meanwhile, Kim goes to meet his father, where Kim is telling him about the case. Jin has confessed to killing Lynn. He is currently in a coma. If he dies, the case will be closed. Hearing this, his father says, you had a good opportunity and you lost it. I too was once trapped in a case like this, and the person was proven guilty in court, but he didn't confess to his crime and took his own life in prison. After that, people cursed me. But look where I am today. What I mean to say is that you still have a chance. You can do something. In the next scene, we see Song is coming home. He also recalls Jin's last note, where Jin had written, I killed Lynn. I did all this out of jealousy towards Song. I regret what I've done, and I apologize to everyone. The story then returns to the present, where Song wakes up and finds himself at Gia's house. Song sees Gia sleeping nearby. She had been taking care of him all night. Then Gia wakes up and sees Song sitting outside. Later, Song tells Gia, I had nowhere to go. I just walked and ended up here. Everyone is saying Jin is the killer. I can't believe it. Why would he do this? Gia tells Song, the murder weapon was found in Jin's car, so the prosecutor considers Jin the killer and will close the case now. On this, Song says, I don't care about that. I need to know the truth. Do you also think Jin is the killer? You're our fan, aren't you? Do you think he could do something like this? I don't think so. And if Jin did do it, I need to know why. In the next scene, we see Kim coming to his office. Some prosecutors are criticizing him, saying he went after the wrong suspect. Hearing this, Kim gets angry. Meanwhile, we see Song's manager talking to Yang and saying, after everything that has happened with Jin, how Song can go on stage in such a situation. Yang says, I didn't ask for your opinion. Bring Song to me. I'll convince him somehow. On the other side, we see Gia telling Song, I'm going out to investigate the accident scene where Jin's accident happened, but Song says, I'll come with you too. I need to know what happened to Jin. Then they both reach the accident site where Gia tells Song there is no CCTV around. Here, just then, Song notices something. He starts walking down a slope and tells Gia not to follow him. Gia doesn't listen and follows anyway. She is about to fall when Song quickly catches her. Song then holds Gia's hand and guides her down to the accident site. They both look around and wonder how Jin's car could have ended up here. Then they go to a hotel, and Gia tells Song that Jin stayed at this hotel last. They talk to a girl at the hotel. The girl tells them, I recognize Jin, and asked him for an autograph, but he seemed troubled to me. They both come out. Gia wonders why Jin would have come here. Song's eyes fall on a festival poster. He tells Gia, I know why he would have come here. They both go there, and Song tells Gia, this is the stage where we performed for the first time. The hotel Jin stayed at, we stayed at the same one back then. Maybe that's why Jin came here. Gia says, yes, I know. Gia later remembers the scene of how she was watching them. Song later says, there's a place only we know about. He takes Gia to a wish tree and says, we all wrote our wishes and hung them here. Now Song also writes a wish and hangs it there. Then they both leave. In the next scene, we see Kim still investigating the case. Kim finds out that Song and Jin were prescribed the same type of medication, so he asks the doctor about it. The doctor says this medication is taken for sleep, but if the dose is too high, it can have adverse effects. There is still suspicion that Song is involved. Hearing this, Kim calls his colleague and says, we will reopen the investigation. On the other hand, Gia and Song return, but the area is now closed. Song asks Gia, can we walk for a while? Song tells Gia, I've always wanted to walk in a place where no one is around. After that, they both sit. Gia feels cold, so Song takes off his jacket and gives it to her. When Gia refuses, Song says, consider it fan service. Gia tells Song, I'm not your fan anymore. Hearing this, Song asks, so that's why you threw away all those things? Buying them must have cost a lot of money. You collected all my merchandise since my debut. Why did you like me? On this, Gia says, you don't need a reason to like someone. Song then says, I know why you liked me. I gave you that red hat, didn't I? I was very sad that day. The story goes into the past where Song's mother takes money from him and says, so little money? Is this all you get for being an idol? Song is feeling unwell, but his mother doesn't pay attention to him and talks about money instead. Song says to his mother, we're meeting after a long time. I have a fever. Can't you see? Song's mother tells him, when I have money, I'll take you with me. Hearing this, Song becomes sad. After that, Song is singing on the street, and children throw money and leave. Song tells Gia, I had decided to give up everything. Then I saw you, and looking at you, I felt that your pain was nothing compared to my pain. That's why I followed you, because I wanted to comfort you. and when you changed your mind after listening to my song, I felt that I was useful to someone. The story comes back to the present. Song asks Gia, why were you so sad that day? Gia tells him how her father was falsely accused. He said he was innocent, but no one listened to him. In the end, he committed suicide. My mother couldn't bear it all and died. But when I heard your song, I decided to live again, thinking that someday I would find a reason to live. He is looking at her, but just then, a guard comes there and asks, what are you two doing here? They don't say anything and start to leave. But then Gia gets a call from someone. In the next scene, Gia and Song go to a hotel. There, a man tells them that he heard Jin talking to someone on the phone and saying, you knew everything from the beginning, and I was making false accusations against Song. Gia asks him, did you hear who he was talking to? The man says he was talking to some CEO. Later, Gia tells Song Lynn had signed your contract with another agency, and the CEO knew about this. Maybe Jin found out about this. That's why he was talking to the CEO about it. So Song says, I will ask him myself. Then they both go to meet the CEO. Song asks Yang, what was Jin's last conversation with you about? Yang says, if you find out about this, you won't be able to bear it. Do you think you know everything about Lynn? If you learn the truth about him, you will break down. Do you still want to know? On this Song says, yes, I want to know what the truth is. The story goes back to 15 days before Lynn's death. We see Lynn talking to Yang. Lynn says, you said that if I convinced Song to do a solo album, you would give us a group album. But instead, you have booked another tour for Song. Jin and Chin are working so hard, hoping for that group album. But Yang replies, you'll benefit more from Song's earnings, won't you? So don't bother Song by telling him all this. Hearing this, Lynn becomes sad. In the next scene, we see Lynn getting a call from the CEO of another agency. The CEO tells Lynn, I told you, your agency has no interest in releasing your album. If you come to our agency, you will be able to help. Gold Boys, Lynn says, I can't decide this alone. The CEO then tells him, if your CEO finds out, he won't let this happen. Your team listens to you, so you have to make a decision for your team. After that, Lynn later goes to Jin and Chin, who are discussing the group album, but seeing them happy, he doesn't say anything. Then Lynn goes to meet Song and finds him collapsed on the floor. In the next scene, Lynn talks to the manager and says, Song needs rest. If he keeps going like this with concerts, he will fall ill. On this, the manager says, you're worrying too much. Did Song say something to you? Lynn recalls that Song told him he takes medicine, but no one should find out. So he says Song gets very tired. The manager says, I'll take care of everything. They've promised to give Song a break after this concert. Saying this, the manager leaves. Lynn then gets a call from the other agency's CEO. So Lynn goes to meet the CEO and says, we will join your company. The CEO asks, Song will also join the company, right? Lynn replies, Song listens to me. And we see the CEO is recording their conversation. In the next scene, Jin tells Lynn, I found out that Song has signed a contract with another agency. He betrayed us. So Lynn tells him, don't do anything yet. I'll talk to Song myself and see. After this, Lynn meets the CEO and says, you said this matter would remain between us. So how did this information get out? And I haven't signed any contract. I only said yes. The CEO says, so what? You said everything verbally. You promised you would sign the contract. If you refuse, I'll play this recording for everyone. Then the whole world and your team members will see you as a traitor. Then the day of the incident is shown. Song returns home after meeting Linhua. When Lynn asks, how much did you drink that you're in this state? But Song replies, I didn't drink. I took medicine. You had something to tell me, right? Lynn says, you don't seem well. You should sleep. Lynn then comes out and is called by Yang, who asks Lynn, why did you go to the other agency? Lynn says, I haven't signed any contract. You weren't renewing our contract, so I was talking to another agency. Hearing this, Yang says, so you brought Song's mother into this and got her to sign the contract? Lynn is shocked and says, I don't know when this happened. I didn't contact his mother. But Yang doesn't listen and says, because of you, Song will have problems. How will he feel when he finds out about this? If I were in Song's place, I would kill you. But Lynn says, whatever I did for them. The story shifts to the present. Yang says, I was just threatening him. I didn't know I was talking to Lynn for the last time. If I had known, I wouldn't have said all that to him. I didn't tell the police because I didn't want to hurt you. Did you really not know about this? Did you really not kill Lynn? But Song denies it and says, I didn't kill him. However, one thing I'm sure of, you hid this recording not to protect me, but to protect your own image. Song then takes Gia and leaves from there. In the next scene, both are in the car. Gia asks Song, are you okay? Song says, I didn't know anything. I never realized what Lynn was going through. He always kept smiling, so I thought he was fine. I was only thinking about myself and my own pain. Lynn always thought about me, but I never saw the pain behind his smile. I feel terrible. Gia tells Song, being close to someone doesn't mean you know everything about them. Some people hide their feelings. Maybe Lynn was like that. Don't blame yourself. It's not your fault. She holds his hand and consoles him. On the other hand, Kim's boss tells him, hand over Song's case to another prosecutor. It'll be best for you. Hearing this, Kim gets angry. Meanwhile, the manager is talking to Song and says, "You'll get your house and car back because it's been proven you didn't kill Lynn. Will you go back to your house?" Song says, "I have to leave here. How long can I stay here?" Just then, Gia arrives and sees that Song has packed all his things. So she tells Song, "I have some work. I need to go to the office." On this, Song tells her, "Don't worry about me. You go." After this, Gia leaves. Just then, Song gets a message from Linhua saying she wants to meet him one last time. So Song goes to meet her. Linhua tells Song, "I'm going to Europe." She also gives Song a ticket to Europe and says, "I'm not telling you to date me again. I just want you to start fresh somewhere far from here. What do you think? Will you be able to forget whatever happened?" But Song tells her, "I can't run away anywhere. I want to stay here." Hearing this, Linhua becomes sad and tells Song, "Now I'll be able to leave. Take care of yourself." Song then leaves. On the other hand, Gia waits until 6 o'clock and then leaves the office. She also brings food and tells Song, "You probably haven't eaten, so I brought you chicken." Seeing this, Song asks, "How did you know I like chicken?" So Gia says, "How could I not know? I've been your fan for so many years." Then Gia starts to call Min-soo. Just then, Min-soo arrives. Gia isn't talking properly to Min-soo, so Min-soo tells her, "Forget what I said that day. I know you can't see anyone in trouble. That's why you're helping Song." In the next scene, all three are eating together. Just then, Min-soo asks Gia, "Why is the Coke warm?" Gia says, "I forgot to put it in the fridge." But Song tells Min-soo, "I like warm Coke." Now Min-soo looks angrily at Gia. Later, Coke spills on Gia's clothes. Both Song and Min-soo offer tissues to her. Gia takes the tissue from Min-soo's hand. Gia then makes an excuse and leaves, gesturing Min-soo to say nothing. Min-soo asks, "What kind of person do you think Gia is?" Song tells him she can't be described in one line. So Min-soo says, "I've known Gia since I was 12 years old. Our houses were nearby. I used to cause trouble like you before. Gia would defend me. She gave me a place to live. People think Gia is arrogant, but she is very good and helpful to others." Song says, "I know that." Suddenly, Min-soo tells her, "She was your fan. That doesn't mean she loves you, so don't misunderstand." Song says, "I know, I'm not that crazy." Just then, Gia arrives, and they eat together. After that, Song tells Gia, "I enjoyed eating together." On this, Gia says, "These are normal things." But Song says, "Even doing this is difficult for some people." Gia then asks him, "If you weren't the idol Song, what would you want to do?" In the next scene, Song takes Gia to his school. He says, "I don't have very good memories here, but I wanted to come once." Then Song takes Gia to the shop he used to visit as a child for food. Then Gia takes Song to a theme park. Then she tells him, "There's a lot of crowd here. If someone recognizes you, there will be a problem. We should leave." Song says, "You wanted to come here, and now how can you go back without going inside?" Song also tells her, "I've come here for the first time." Then they are watching fish. Some fans recognize Song. Gia takes Song away from there. They hide and the fans leave. Seeing Gia close to him, Song's heartbeat quickens. Gia then tells Song to leave from there. Then they sit by a river, where Song says, "It all feels like a dream. I saw you here for the first time." They come home. Song tells her, "I had a lot of fun today." Gia tells him, "I like you like this." Hearing this, Song asks, "So you like me?" Gia then says, "I like you normally." Song then says, "I like you." Hearing this, Gia is shocked and keeps looking at him. Then she says, "You suddenly said this, I'm shocked." "I don't know what to say," Song says. "You don't need to answer right now, I'll wait for your answer. Take as much time as you need." Gia goes to her room, her heart beating very fast. Outside, Song is in a similar state. However, outside the house, we see reporter Shin looking towards Gia's house. The next morning, Gia is thinking, "How will I face him? I need to go to the bathroom." She gathers courage and comes out, but doesn't see Song in the house. Then she finds a letter from Song in which he says, "I know you'll have a problem facing me, so I'm going to my home. Thank you for helping me and being with me in my difficult time." On the other hand, Song returns to his home. He pulls himself together and starts cleaning the house. In the next scene, the manager tells Song that Jin has been moved to a different ward. The doctors say he won't survive. So Song goes to meet Jin. He plays one of their group's song. Then he holds his hand and says, "You like this song a lot, don't you?" Meanwhile, we see Kim's boss coming to his office. Kim is there too. The boss says, "I told you to step back. Why are you still working on Lynn's case?" Kim shows the boss a report and says, "I have found out that Song is connected to the cases of Jin and Lynn. I have evidence. Let me take this case to court. I will show you I can win." In the next scene, we see Gia is at her home. She's missing Song. Just then, she notices that Song forgot his hat. She says, "How could he leave this here? It's so important to him. I should return it to him." Meanwhile, Min-soo comes to meet Gia. Just then, Gia comes out. Min-soo asks her, "Where are you going so late at night?" Gia says, "Song forgot his hat here." On this, Min-soo tells her, "Give it to me. I'll give it to Song." But Gia says, "You don't need to bother. I'll give it to him myself." Saying this, she leaves. On the other hand, Song has also come to meet Gia and says to himself, I'll just look at her and come back. Just then, he sees Gia coming towards him and hides behind his car. Gia sees Song's car and says, who parked this here? How will I get my car out now? That's why Song has to come out. Song asks, were you going somewhere? Gia gives Song the hat and says, I was going to give you this. You forgot it here. Song says, you were coming to give it to me this late at night? Gia nods. Then she's leaving. But then she asks, Song, you're still waiting for my answer, aren't you? Song says yes. Hearing this, Gia is nervous and leaves quickly. After this, Song is going home. He remembers how Gia kept looking back at him while running away. Song says to himself, she's killing me. The next day, Gia's colleague sees an article which claims that Gia and Song are living together and having an affair. Gia comes to the office and employees are gossiping about her. Her colleague shows her the article and says, we should file a lawsuit against that reporter right now. Meanwhile, the manager also tells Song about the article. In the next scene, Gia gets a call from Song. Song asks, Gia, are you okay? All this happened because of me staying at your house. On this, Gia tells Song, that's not true. Until things calm down, don't go outside and don't go meet that reporter. Song asks, what about you? Gia replies, I'm fine. Nothing will happen to me. Gia then calls Min-soo, who says, I'm coming to you, but Gia says, no need to come to me. You need to go to Song and keep an eye on him so he doesn't do anything wrong. On the other hand, reporter Shin posts a new article which claims that Gia is the daughter of a killer. Meanwhile, the boss asks Gia, what's going on? Gia says, you once asked me how I healed myself after my father's death. It was because of Song's music. I used to listen to his songs. I've been his fan for a long time. When all this happened with Song, I wanted to take his case so I could save him. Just then, Han arrives and tells the boss, you should come out and see. Then they both see some people protesting against Gia, calling her a killer's daughter. Han angrily says to Gia, all this happened because of you. So Gia says, it's okay. I will fix this. Later, she comes outside. The media bombards her with questions, asking, was Song living at your house? What is your relationship? Gia says, I am just his lawyer. The media says, we want to know if he was living at your house or not. She doesn't know what to say. Just then, the two stalkers are nearby, shouting, she's the murderer's daughter, so how can she defend anyone? Saying this, the stalkers throw something at her. Just then, Song comes in between and saves Gia. Song then takes Gia away from there. Gia asks, what are you doing here? I told you not to come out. Song says, then what about you? All this is happening to you. Why shouldn't I come? Gia replies, we can't run like this. So Song says, we're not running. We're just leaving here for a little while. Today, just think about yourself, and I'll handle everything else. In the next scene, he takes her to a quiet and open place. He rents a room. The man sets everything up outside. They were about to eat. Song says, you eat. We need energy to fight. Gia asks, what fight? Song puts food in her mouth and says, argue with me later. First, you eat. In the next scene, Gia is inside the house and reading hate comments about herself. Just then, Song comes and says, I'm sorry, if it weren't for me, no one would have known about your father. On this, Gia says, I had forgotten that people see me as a killer's daughter. I became a lawyer because I wanted to clear the accusations against my father, but I kept delaying the retrial. I wanted more time to prepare, but the truth is, I was just running away. Then Song tells her, you weren't running away. You kept all this inside because you also had to live. Hearing this, Gia starts crying. Song takes her in his arms and consoles her. Then, in the middle of the night, Gia wakes up and seeing Song sleeping, she goes near him. As Gia touches Song's hair, he wakes up. Gia starts to leave. Just then, Song holds her hand. He looks at her face and kisses her. Now, they both kiss. The next morning, Gia sees Song and remembers the kiss. Later, she tells Song, I think I've understood my feelings. I like you too. Just then, Gia gets a call from her boss, who tells her that Kim has reopened the case. I think he has some evidence. He's taking advantage of the scandal between you and Song. Gia's colleague thought Gia wouldn't come. So much had happened to her, and everyone was still talking about her father. But just then, Gia arrives with Song. She brings him to her office and starts discussing the evidence. In the next scene, Gia and Song listen to a call recording from Yang and Lynn where someone is trying to open the door lock. Gia says, we can prove that someone else entered the house that night. Gia also tells Song that the police think Jin didn't take his own life, and this Song says, I knew he couldn't do that. Gia then asks him, where were you on the night Jin had the incident? Song tells Gia, I was following you. I saw you drank alcohol, played the piano, and then you went home. But you were singing my songs and even fell down. Hearing this, Gia is shocked and says, how could you do that? Song asks her, you were missing me that day, weren't you? Gia says, yes, I was missing you. Hearing this, Song becomes happy. Just then, his eyes fall on some evidence that was found from his house. Gia asks, Song, is this earring yours? Song looks at it carefully and realizes something. Next we see Song takes Gia to his house. He takes out an earring box from his locker. One earring is missing from it. Song then looks at Gia and says, "Maybe I know who came to my house that night." Meanwhile, Jin regains consciousness. Song and Gia goes to meet him. Jin asks Song, "Where is Linois?" He can't say anything more. Everyone comes out and wonders, why did he take Linoir's name? In the next scene, Song tells Gia that the crystal was bought by Linois. There were only 2 in the whole country. She took one, and I had one. After the breakup, I kept it in the locker. Hearing this, Gia says, "So the earring the police belongs to Linois. We should tell the police. Are you sure about this?" But Song says, "No matter what, we must expose this." Gia then leaves. Later, she gets a call from Min-soo, who asks her to meet him. So Gia goes to meet him, where Min-soo tells her, "I went to check the garden near Song's house. There was a camera, and it recorded everything." They both see someone in the footage. Min-soo says, "Don't you find it strange that it's raining so heavily, and this person is walking without an umbrella?" Gia says, "It could be a girl. We recently found out that Linois might have come to Song's house." On this, Min-soo says, "Okay, I'll investigate further." Gia thanks him, but Min-soo says, "Don't say thank you. I'm doing all this so that Song proves innocent and leaves our house." Gia then takes the footage to Namsik and says, "It's not clear who it is, but one thing is sure, there was a third person there that night." Namsik says, "You did good work, but I can't do anything because Kim is adamant about not letting me prove Song innocent." I don't know why he's acting like that. Just then, Namsik gets a call. He is told that Jin wants to talk to Kim. In the next scene, we see Kim coming to meet Jin. Now Jin tells what happened to him. "That night, I talked to the CEO. After that, Linois called me to meet." Then we see a flashback. Jin tells Linois, "We're meeting after 3 years." Linois says, "I just came back a few days ago. What's going on?" Jin drinks the coffee Linois offered. Jin then says, "I don't know. The police thinks I'm the culprit." On this, Linois says, "The police must have misunderstood because you went to Song's house that night." Hearing this, Jin is shocked and asks, "How did you know this?" Linois says, "It was in the news. That's how I know." Jin gets nervous. In the next scene, Jin is walking towards his car. He then sends Gia a voice recording, but then someone comes and he can't record further. It's Linois, and she asks, "What are you doing now? Aren't you going?" He says, "I'm going," but then he faints because Linois had put something in the coffee he drank. Back to the present, Jin tells Kim that night, "Lynn told me he was going to meet Song. I called him, but he didn't answer. So I went to Song's house and rang the doorbell, but no one opened the door. I didn't tell anyone this. I thought everyone would doubt me, but I don't know how Linois found out about this." He also says, "You told me that the truth never hides. I'm telling you all this so you can find the truth and not make an innocent person the culprit." On the other hand, Gia receives Linois' medical report, from which Gia learns that Linois has been mentally ill. Meanwhile, Jin tells Song that Jin is fine now. Song says, "Forgive me, because of me. Everyone got hurt." Jin says, "You don't need to apologize." Jin also tells Song that Lynn had a habit of recording everything on his phone. If we could find his phone, maybe we'd find something. The next scene, Gia shows Kim evidence against Linois, but Kim refuses to accept that evidence. Gia says, "You know everything already, but you are choosing the wrong path. Do you think you can bear the burden your whole life of having punished an innocent person?" Linois is leaving, but before she does, you have to make this right. You are different from your father. Kim then thinks about Gia's words. Later, he calls Namsik and says, "Bring Linois to me. We need to interrogate her." Meanwhile, we see Song talking to Linois. Song asks her, "I want to ask you something. Did you come to my house on the night of the incident?" Linois denies it and says, "I don't know where you heard that, but it's absolutely false." She then starts to leave. But just then, Namsik arrives and arrests her. On the other hand, Song is at his home. Gia comes to meet him and asks why he isn't answering her calls. Song hugs her tightly and says, "I missed you." Song then brings Gia inside and shows her something. He tells her Lynn had a habit of recording everything, and his phone was connected to cloud storage. The killer took his phone. That means there was something on Lynn's phone that was important for the killer, but I can't unlock it. Meanwhile, Kim is interrogating Linois. He shows several pieces of evidence, but she denies them, saying, "I didn't do anything." Kim says, "Jin has regained consciousness. He has told us everything about you." Hearing this, Linois says nothing. Kim later comes out. His father, Jong, is very angry at him and tells him to release Linois. Yet he refuses to do so and tells his father, "You send innocent people to jail, but I'm not going to do that. I will not live like you." In the next scene, Gia and Song work together and manage to unlock the cloud. Now, they are listening to the recording. The story goes into a flashback where Lynn is talking to the CEO on the phone. Just then, someone tries to open the door. Lynn starts recording on his phone and opens the door. It's Linois. She sees him and says, "What are you doing here? I want to meet Song. Where is he?" He stops her and says, "You can't go inside." Linois shouts at him, "Who are you to stop me?" Lynn tells her he suffered so much because of you, but now he has moved gone. He loved you, but you didn't value him because you never received love from anyone. Everything between you two is over. Hearing this, Linhua goes to the kitchen, picks up a knife, and tries to harm herself. Lynn tries to stop her, and during the struggle, we see that Lynn gets stabbed and dies. Linhua wipes away all evidence from the scene and plants Song's fingerprints on the knife. Later, she notices that the crystal earring in her ear is missing. She starts looking for it. Just then, she sees the recording on Lynn's phone and gets scared. At that moment, someone knocks on the door from outside. It's Jin. Now, Linhua doesn't do anything. She takes Lynn's phone and leaves. However, the crystal was lying right there on the floor. Now, she is walking through the garden. Jin calls Lynn. The phone starts ringing, but she switches it off. The story returns to the present. Gia asks Song, "What should we do? If we make the recording public, your relationship will be exposed." Song says, "No matter what, we have to do it. We have to bring the truth before everyone." In the next scene, Linhua is proven guilty and is sent to jail. Meanwhile, Gia thanks Kim because he caught the real culprit. Kim says, "I'm sorry. All this happened to your father in the past. I was hoping your father would be proven innocent, but that couldn't happen." In the next scene, Song comes to meet Linhua in jail. He asks, "Why did you do it?" Linhua tells him, "All this happened because of you. I didn't go abroad after our breakup. I was here in a hospital. I had tried to take my own life, but I saw you laughing on TV. I wanted to get you back. If you hadn't pushed me away, I wouldn't have gone to that house, and all that wouldn't have happened. Now you can hate me for the rest of your life." But Song says, "I don't want to waste my time hating you. You didn't love me. True love is when we want to see the person we love happy, no matter how far we are from them." Saying this, he leaves. Now we see them after 1 year, where Gia turns on the TV. In front, Goldboy's interview is playing. Their world tour is happening. Song says, "I'll be back soon. Eat on time. Don't get sick. I miss you all." Gia smiles, knowing that all these words are for her. Just then, Min-soo arrives there. Now both eat together. While they are talking, we learn that Min-soo is now going to leave. He will no longer live with Gia and will have his own separate business. However, the work will be the same. Private investigation. Min-soo tells her, "I've been living with you for 5 years. It felt like family. I heard you were going to retry your father's case. If you need any help, contact me. Although my price has increased." Hearing this, Gia starts laughing. In the next scene, Gia goes to talk to Kang. Kang gives her several witnesses related to her father's case and says, "I knew you would come one day and ask for all this." Gia thanks him for all this and tells him about what he did for her in the past. Kang says, "Everyone was calling Song a murderer, but you saved him. This time too, you will do the same. You will prove your father innocent." Now, Gia is going to retire because she will work on her father's case. But Kang tells her, "You can come here anytime you want. You are welcome." In the next scene, we see Gia working on her father's case. She visits several witnesses and takes their statements. Alongside, we hear her saying, "I miss Song. Whenever I'm upset, I watch his performances." On the other hand, we see Kim's colleague telling him, "The culprit has been punished now. We should go celebrate." But Kim says, "I already have plans." Later, we see what the plan is. He has come to court where Gia is talking to the judge, asking to reopen her father's case. Namsik is also here. Kim starts to leave, but Namsik calls him. Then both sit together. Namsik tell him, "Gia is working on her father's case, and I'm helping her. After all this happens, your father's name will come up. Are you okay with that?" But Kim says, "I'm fine. If my father did something wrong, he should be punished." Gia also comes out of the court. The media is in front, asking about her father's case. Gia is answering them. Just then, the media shouts and says, "Song has arrived." We then see Song holding flowers. He comes straight to Gia and gives them to her. Then both leave together. Gia asks, "You came suddenly. You didn't even tell me." Song says, "I wanted to give a surprise. However, my flight was late, so I'm here. I knew today is an important day for you. Anyway, I missed you a lot. What about you?" Gia says, "I missed you too." They both are talking. However, reporter Shin is nearby, taking their photos. Just then, the two stalkers come to him and say, "Stop intruding into our Song's personal life, or we won't leave you alone." Later, Song takes Gia to the memorial site, where her parents are laid to rest. Gia asks, "How did you know?" Song says, "I asked Min-soo." Song then speaks to Gia's parents. "I'm sorry I'm late to meet you, but I promise you one thing. I will keep your daughter happy." Song hugs Gia. Then, they go out to hang out together. Later, they reach Gia's house. She is about to leave when she turns around and kisses him. He then tells him, "You should go now." But he holds her hand and says, "I can't go." He kisses her again and both go inside the house. They become intimate. The next day, we see Jaya rushing to her laptop. Song wants to talk to her, but she doesn't listen. A store selling Song's merchandise is having a sale, and she is excited about it. When Song tries to stop her, she pushes him away. On this, Song says, "Now I'm yours. I can help you with this." But she replies, "I don't need any personal help." Song later shows her a ticket to his domestic concert. Seeing it, she gets happy and says, "I want it." Song gives it to her and says, "I saved it for you." Then he goes to meet his former maid who used to work in the house. He asks her to cook for Gia, and she agrees. Song later messages Gia and says, "Come here, I want to meet you." He then waits for her. Just then, Gia arrives. She sees him and starts taking his photos and says, "You look very handsome today." Song says, "Let's go on a picnic." But Jaya replies, plans. I already have plans. Later, we see what her plan is. She goes to meet Minsu. Meanwhile, Song is now talking to Minsu. Song tells him, "You helped me a lot improving my innocence. Thank you for that." Minsu says, "I did all this for Gia. By the way, I once told you that Gia only likes you as a fan, but I knew that wasn't true. I deliberately said that so you would stay away from Gia and I could be with her. But that can't happen. She likes you a lot." Just then, Gia arrives and asks, "What are you talking about?" But they don't tell her and simply start eating. In the next scene, Song talks to Young. Song says, "If you hadn't raised me, I could never have done this. Thank you for that." But Young replies, "Don't thank me. Thank your mother, because your mother asked me to take you in." Next, we see Minsu coming to a cafe. He meets Song's mother. She asks, "Who are you? And how did you find me?" Minsu says, "This is my job. Take this." She hesitates, but later, she takes it. Song's mother looks at it. It is a ticket to one of Song's concerts. In the next scene, we see Gia at a cafe. She tries to buy a ticket. Maybe the ticket Song gave her earlier was different. Her friend also messages her and says, "Get my ticket too." So she books 2 tickets. In the next scene, she arrives to watch the concert. Her friend had told her, "I'll meet you here. I also have an umbrella." Gia goes ahead and spots her friend. The friend removes the umbrella. Gia realizes it's her colleague. From the beginning of the drama until the end, she was talking to this colleague online, but she never knew. The colleague also didn't know that her online friend was Gia. They both happily go inside to watch the concert together. Inside, we see our 3 heroes preparing backstage. Later, they come out on stage in front of the crowd. They start singing. All the fans cheer loudly and are very happy. And with this, the drama ends. Subscribe for more.